Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and as you can see from the title of this video, this is another story time. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. All right, so let's get straight into the story for the day. So this would happen when I just finished school. No, not school. This will happen when I just finished NYC. So if you don't know what NYC is, it's a 1 year mandatory service in Nigeria after you finish university before you can work, right? So like I have always been that, girl that wants to, I want to be working, I want to get my grind going, I want to like I don't want like I don't want to stay back at home being jobless, not being able to pay my, they really have bills, but like not being able to take care of myself, at the time. So but you can't apply until you're done with NYC. Like for most of the jobs that I wanted, when you're even applying, they'll ask you for your NYC certificate number. So if you're not done, you can't apply. So I applied to some jobs or whatever when I just came up, but all the standard jobs, the requirements, the process rather, the recruitment process takes time. So I'd passed some tests, I'd written some tests, but then you have to wait before the next stage and blah blah blah. But I couldn't wait. Like I couldn't just sit at home for like 3 months, 4 months, not doing anything. Like no. So I was like, you know what? Let me look for, like a smaller job that I can get busy with. And then once I get called to like the main job that I'm waiting for, I go. So that's how my brother too was in and out of jobs at the time. So he was also looking for something temporal, so that he can also use that to sort himself out. So there's this job, it's actually a big, or let me say a popular um, e-commerce company in Nigeria, right? And they were recruiting, right? They were recruiting for customer service agents. We went for the test and everything, and I mean, I was writing exams then, like I was applying to different companies then. I just came out of NYC fresh. So like my brain was hot. When I read the exam, like I got like a very high percentage. The guy who was conducting the exam was like, what? Like, girl, okay. So basically like I was just like acing it. Then you go for, there's also like the oral interview where they check if you have an accent, like H accent and all those kind of things. I've got none of that. So like I aced that and boom, 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 boom. I got the job. Next thing, they're telling me come next week so that you can resume training. And I'm like, yes, girl. Okay, so I didn't resume training, and while the whole training was going on, they didn't tell us how much the pay is or pay was. And I'm telling you, it's like minimum wage kind of thing, like minimum wage with Jara, that kind of thing. So not impressive. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, it's just for the meantime anyway, so that's okay. Then we start, there are different departments, right? So you have the, under the customer service, you have the guys that you're supposed to call customers based on the customer database they have to like, help them place orders, ask them if they want to place orders, or maybe customers that have already placed orders and you want to call to confirm their orders. So that kind of thing. Then you have the other department where they are the ones who receive calls when, when you have issues and you call, and they receive calls. Then you have other departments like that. So when I started off, they first put us in the department where they are the ones making the calls, placing the calls to the customers. And you would first sit down and do kind of like a training, or what they call that thing now, where you sit with someone who knows what's up and you're just watching them work. Can't remember the name now. But kind of like a body, like it's gonna be the body, your work body or something, like just training you, and you watch him do or her do what you're doing, so that when they ask you to then make your calls, you know what to do. Yeah. So I'm like, these niggas are crazy, yo. Like, so for those who are making calls to confirm orders and all that, you have a target. Like in a day, maybe your target, for example, you're like you have to confirm 250 orders in a day, for example. And I'm talking these guys, something like Hello, my name is Vanessa. So this is I noticed you place an order on the website, blah 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 blah. Did you order this? You order that? Do you confirm that you order? Okay, I'm gonna have to confirm your order, blah 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 order. Like these guys are rapping, like they are speaking at the speed of light. Like what? I'm like, this is crazy. And they have a script, right? So imagine you having to read that script to 250 people a day. Like that's crazy. And the break is like what, 30 minutes? And it's just things just like this. I'm like, okay, that's wild. But at least this one, this particular department, you are the one making the call. So like you probably like take a deep breath before you make that call and then you start running again and speaking all fast and all that to meet your target. Mind you, not everybody was meeting those targets because like it was crazy. So I started, making the calls because after you bodied up for a few days, I think 2 days or so, you start to make your calls. So I started making the calls, and I mean, it was going well. I think I was acing it. I was trying my best, doing pretty well, getting comfortable, because after some time you start getting comfortable with rapping that same script like all day. And then next thing, they say they're going to do a rotation. This thing is within weeks. Like maybe I was in that particular department for like 2 weeks max, and then like they're going to move me to the other department where you are the one receiving calls. Look, I kid you not, that department where you're receiving calls, everyone is dreading it. Reason being that anybody can call you. Like you can't, unlike the other one that, yeah, your target is this, you're supposed to say this. The only challenge is maybe speaking fast and meeting the target. This one, there isn't necessarily a target of number of calls to pick per day. However, you will receive whatever call is routed to you. Now, mind you, you might have customers that are ready to curse you the fuck out. You will have customers that their issues are so peculiar. You can have like, so that one is you need to know what you're doing. You need to know how to speak to your customers. You need to be ready for call center. Like you need to be ready. And as they're giving you their complaints, you need to be taking notes. Like, and the customer is not going to slow down and talking to you gently because you're trying to type it out. They don't give a fuck. Like, these customers are angry. Like, you need to be on your game and typing out what their issues is. If it's to give a voucher, you need to know what to do. You need to know whether you're to give a voucher. You need to know whether you to escalate. You need to know whether. So you need to know, right? And then at the end of the day, I think how, if I remember correctly, how you're rated is, um, you need to get like a green, like the customer needs to rate you well after the call that they are satisfied or not. So if you don't give good customer service, they're going to rate you badly, and that flows into your target. Man, like when you said you were sending us to the department, my brother and I were freaking out because we're like, people are always talking about this department, like, and there, your break is your break. If your break is 30 minutes, you can't go past 30 minutes because you're inactive, your system is inactive for that period of time. So immediately your time starts counting, you need to be up and running and picking calls. Like, they shouldn't route a call to you and you're not there to pick your call. No, don't do that. So, man, when we moved to that department, I'm actually a fast learner, right? So like I started like getting acquainted with things, and I don't know, I kind of got lucky because even when I'm customers like, sorry, that kind of thing, I'll give you a voucher, whatever, whatever. I kind of seem to know how to handle situations, but like there are some days that, man, like you will pick calls. Like there's some days that calls are routed to you back to back, and you're talking to like angry customers literally all day. It's wild. So this particular day, it was one of these days the calls were so many. Like it was madness. Like calls kept coming in. And when the call comes in, you have to like sort yourself out. If you're not able to type out everything that you and the person are discussing, you have to sort yourself out. Maybe put it like in a rough note and just keep the tab where you're going to complete that customer's complaint. Then the next call is coming in. So if you're not fast and you're not doing that thing quickly, you have so many tabs open for different customers. And trust me, when this happens for like four customers, you could probably remember that, okay, this complaint, this customer is for this complaint. By the time you have like 15 tabs, trust me, you will forget. Like you will now be mixing up. You won't be sure like, oh, was it customer A that had the problem with the voucher, or was it customer C? It gets all confusing. So like the faster you're able to do it and close your tabs for each customer that calls you, the better for you. But bro, some days are the absolute ghetto. And this particular day was the ghetto for my brother. Like it was the ghetto for my brother. Calls kept coming in, like it kept coming, and my brother was just frustrated at some point. Like it was actually hilarious. And typically we don't sit next to each other, right? But that particular day we were sitting next to each other. And calls kept coming in. Calls kept coming in. It kept coming in. And my brother was going crazy. Like, first of all, my brother is not that person to like talk a lot. So like the whole talking, calls kept coming and you have to keep talking, engaging the customers. So I don't know what happened. I can't remember what exactly transpired between him and the customer. But next thing, we were sitting down and some of the quality assurance people, because they are QA people who listen to our calls, right? So they listen to your calls, and if you're doing something not right or whatever, they'll call you out. So as we're sitting there like struggling with the whole, situation, calls flying up and down, we just hear two QAs, like two of them. I don't even know if there were two or three. So just coming. Who is Nemeka? Who is What? I look at my brother look at me, I'm like, bro, what have you done? Like what? And they then told him, oh, did you tell the customer this? And he's like, oh yeah, this is what happened, so happened. I'm like, okay, fine. All right. So, but like they've already called you out, like even though you clarified, but at that time you already know that, oh, they're watching you, you feel me? Like, so you just can't mess up because they're watching you. They want to be sure that you know what you're saying. So my brother was already like, okay, he was already overwhelmed, like, okay, what's going on? And then calls just kept coming in. And at some point, I look at my brother's computer. I kid you not, he had like 30 tabs open. 30, you know how when you have many tabs open on your system, it becomes like do. I look at my brother, I'm like, do. I'm like, what the? My brother was like, bro. He was just like sinking into his seat like this, like, bro. I was trying so hard not to laugh, like so hard. I'm like, how did you have so many tabs open? He's like, I don't even know what happened. Like, this calls just keep coming in. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, before I'm trying to even still speak, and some of these calls midway they end. Another one, it's just crazy. That it was wild. Like, I swear to God, it was so funny because my brother was in absolute confusion. So closing time is 5, but only 5 for you if you closed your tabs and like you've closed your cases or escalated the ones that need to be escalated, you're done. But if you're not, after the call lines close by 5, you have to sit down and do all of that before you leave that day. So you could literally be there to thy kingdom come. You must finish your whatever for that day. It's not going on to the next day. So when the call lines closed, and I had to go and start helping my brother because we have to go home together and tabs are like open. So we start to try to close it. I'm like, okay, so this customer, do you remember what the customer wanted? Do you remember what was needed? Do you remember what you guys agreed? Was it a voucher? What was it? So he could remember some, and then it got to a point like obviously he couldn't remember some because it was a lot of tabs. It wasn't up to 35 because he had closed some before I came to help him. So let's say by the time I came to help him was like maybe 15, right? So I got some points like I really can't remember what this particular customer wanted. It's all mixed up at this point in my head. I'm like, okay, these calls are recorded. Let's, go and listen to some of them and find out what the issue was. And it's like, okay, cool. And then we start to play some of these calls. And then we realize that some of the calls were not ended. And then at the end of the call, you can hear him say, oh my God, I don't die. I don't die. I don't die. There was another one. He was like, Mon Dieu, like my God in French. And there was another one. He was literally just like wailing in French. And he thought the call had ended. And I'm like, Bro, like, do you know that a QA can literally pick any of these calls? And they literally just called you out today. It's like, ah. My brother was like, my own husband. I swear, it was so funny. Long story short, we cleared the tabs. After clearing tabs, we went home, and luckily nobody called him out, for that anymore. But he was just literally praying. Long story short, we later moved from that department. When it was time for rotation, they moved us to another department, and then, woof, I got my job in the company where I then worked for 2 years before I now came to the company where I'm working now. I then got the job, and I was so excited to leave. Like, whoa, that customer service life is not for me. Like, funny, it's not like I wasn't thriving at it, but like, it's just not something I could do long term because what? Like, you'll be talking every day, like, Jesus, like, you're in customer service, I give you thumbs up. Like, what? Not to talk of the angry customers, like, yo, there's some they'll just you just pick up the call and you're like, oh, good morning, my name is Vanessa, how may I help you? And they're like cursing you out. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, bro, like, shit. I'm just so glad that that phase of my life, passed. How long did I work there for? In total, I think I worked there for like 2 months. Yeah. I think I worked there for like 2 months. 2 months and maybe a few weeks, but it wasn't up to 3 months. When I left, my brother left too. I think we left pretty much the same time, and then we got, our jobs. You would think that that's the end of my family's drama with this e-commerce company, but no. So when my other brother finished NYC, just like me, he needed, just some job to like start off and just be making some bucks while looking for the real actual job that he wanted, right? So he went to the same e-commerce company, and they hired him into the customer service department as well, but not the ones my other brother and I were. It was different. Like, they call customers, right? But it wasn't to confirm orders. It's more like an after experience kind of thing. Like, calling to find out, okay, yeah, you have an order which was completed last week or yesterday or whatever. What do you think of the service of our service? What do you think of the riders? What do you think? That kind of thing. And then they give you their feedback, and then you send them a rating for them to rate the company, rate you, and all that stuff. So their target is they have number of people to call, and they also have the ratings that they're supposed to get from customers. So he started his job, and shortly after, COVID hit, like maybe like a few weeks after COVID started. And when COVID started, working from home started as well. They then gave them laptop, a router, or MiFi or whatever to, for data and all that stuff. But bro, I don't remember the network they gave them, but that was the absolute ghetto. Like, no service. Like, it was so bad. So like, my brother, remember my brother when they were like, "Oh, you start working from home," he was happy. Like, okay, cool. Like, I get to work from home. He didn't know what was coming. As soon as he told them to work from home, it's like they increase the target. You're not coming to the office, so we need to know that you're working. He will start to place calls to customers, like, from morning till then. When it's almost closing time and they see that you're almost done with your target, it's like you really did it. Next thing, he refreshes his tab where they put their assigned whatever, and they've assigned more to him, and the guy will be like, bro, I'm almost done. Like, for example, like, maybe I started with like 150 and I've done 120. I'm supposed to have 30 left, and I refresh, boom, I have 60 left. And he'll always be complaining, like, I don't know what's going on, what's this? But he'll be doing it regardless, right? And then the network. Like, that Wi-Fi was useless. It was absolutely useless. Like, I'm telling you guys, my brother will set up and hang the Wi-Fi in places you can't even imagine, trying to get service. Like, it was My father and I were trying so hard not to laugh because he would be on calls and we're trying not to distract him, and it was just so funny. This particular day, my brother was already like really frustrated with the job. Then they started laying off people. So he was really frustrated, like, bro, started laying off people. They had laid off like some of his acquaintances they had met at work. And he was like, these guys are doing pretty fine. Like, they always try to finish their targets, whatever. So, like, why are they laying them off? Like, what's, what's the chance that I won't be laid off too? Because, you feel me? So he was getting all stressed out about the whole thing. And he would be having like an attitude and stuff sometimes at home. We'll just be like, it's going to be fine. Until there's this particular day, it was the absolute worst. Like he had network issues. He could barely make a full day call, like full call, without the network breaking off. And then they were stressing them out at work, giving them additional targets. And it was just crazy for him. Then he started calling his customers as usual. He would call the first person, I think it was an Indian. This Indian guy started cursing him out. Like, who are you? This, that. Who is your father? Like, my brother was frustrated, like, jeez, like, he was so mad. Like, then the next person he calls again, man picks and is like, don't you ever call this number again. Like, my brother was like, what is going on? And then he calls the next person, like, he's getting the same thing. Like, my brother, my brother was so much going crazy that day. Like, it was wild. This like we felt so bad for him, yo. Like my dad and I felt so bad for him. Like we gave him food, like he was having a bad day, he didn't feel like eating. It was just like this is crazy. Y'all won't believe this. After this guy has done the work, gotten almost to close a business, they added more work. As soon as he saw that he was done with his target or almost done with his target, it was like 5 p.m. ish. They didn't tell they were supposed to have a meeting, and then during the meeting, they now tell him they're laying him off. My brother is like, "What? You're laying me off? Like I've been cursed out all day like I've been cursed out all fucking day by customers. Like, why didn't you tell me in the morning? Like, what? Like this guy's legit waited for him to finish his target and added more and more for him to just tell him that, oh, we're so sorry, but we're laying you off. Like you did nothing wrong, but like bye. Like my brother was so frustrated. I felt so bad for him. And this was like in the peak of COVID. So he had to stay without a job for some months before anything else, like something else showed up. Anyways, that's it. Like that's our story with this e-commerce company. Like those guys be doing the most, like, and the pay is not even good. And I started hearing some wild gist. I don't know how true it is though, but like some gist about some supervisors sleeping with, you know, subordinates and some of these contract workers to give them jobs, to give them better rates. And I'm like, what? On top of what, minimum wage? Like this is not even a career. Like why would you, like, people be desperate out there though? Like what? Like if you can do this for minimum wage, what will you now do for like a proper job? You spread your legs from north to south. Anyways, I ain't judging nobody, but like I was just like, see, with the way this job is shitty, I don't know if it's worth it. Like it's never worth it, but like this is just really not worth it at all. Like, nah. Anyways, that's the end of my story. Hope you guys enjoyed the story time. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share. And of course, drop your comments. Let me know, have you done a customer service job before? What was your experience like? Is this something you want to try out, or is this something you're ready to do again if you've ever done it before? Let me know in the comment sections. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.